Welcome to another episode of Crime Pays but Botany Doesn't. I'm here at UC Berkeley Botanic Gardens with the guys from Contrabando, Nelson and William. Say hi, guys. They're from LA, they're up visiting. And I'm here to show you one of the best botanic gardens in the United States by far. I learned so much here when I used to live here. I would come here 2 or 3 times a week. It's like a living museum. All right? Things are not arranged by color of the flowers or the color of the leaves. Things are arranged ecologically and geographically. So right here we got the South Africa section. On the other side we got the South American deserts. Over there we got the China. So everything's arranged according to what region of the world it grows in. And in doing so and arranging things that way, you're kind of recreating the ecology and the plant communities that these places are composed of, right? Which is a whole different approach to botanic gardens. You know, I grew up hating botanic gardens, being fucking bored by them, thinking that they were just representations of, you know, what some bored granny, no offense to the bored grannies, might have put in a garden. You know, I'm going to put 50 of the same thing planted in a uniform line, evenly spaced, because I'm implying color and depth, whatever that means, right? Just planting things that are presumed to be, quote, pretty, whatever that means. This is a completely different approach to it. This is an ecological approach, a scientific approach. And in planting things like this, there's a lot more opportunity for education, and the beds are a lot diverse. It makes going to the botanic garden like going to a museum, and in some cases like going to another part of the world. When you go to the Mexico section, you're surrounded by all the plants that you'd see in those ecosystems in Mexico, like in a Oaxacan cloud forest, etc. It feels like you're in Mexico. They got an Eastern North America section. When I walk through there, it feels like I'm in Eastern North America. Much more fun experience, okay? This is not just designing a garden for corporate events and corny-ass weddings and shit like that. It's actually designing it with ecology and evolution in mind. All these plants evolved together over long amounts of time in the same ecosystem. So let's go check it out. So see right here, we're in South Africa, right? So what are we looking at? We're looking at amaryllids, aloes, some of the cool composites. There's even the cycads that are up there that compose the flora you'd see in South Africa. And they're not planting 90 of the same thing. They're planting 2 or 3, maybe 4 of the same thing, and then mixing it in with a diversity of other plants. That's recreating the habitat you'd see were you to travel to parts of the Western or Northern Cape region of South Africa. And everything's got a tag, a nice tag. So you could tell what family it's in, what genus and species, and where exactly it's from in that given region. This is such a great fucking garden. I wish more gardens followed this model, you know, instead of planting just for aesthetic. Let's check out Buffon Haemanthoides. So a lot of the amaryllids, you know, they got that whole, they're geophytic. They got that whole underground storage structure. They got that bulb in the ground, as you can clearly see right here. They've also got somewhat toxic secondary chemistry to prevent things from eating those leaves. And a lot of them tend to flower in autumn, in a dormant season. They can do that even though they've just come out of a long summer drought because they got that storage mechanism. They got all that juice stored up. They could just produce a flower, pump a flower out, and get it done. The correct way to pronounce it, by the way, is Buffony. All right, but again, it's Latin. It's a dead language. You can call it Buffon. I kind of like that better. The plant was acquired in 2006, and again, it's in the Amaryllidaceae, the amaryllis family. South Africa also has a ton of pelargoniums, a ton of members of the geranium family. You can see the flower structure right there. You see that flower structure? You know it's a member of the pelargonium family, the Geraniaceae. The genus Cyphostemma, all right, in the grape family Vitaceae, which you can see again, Vitaceae right there. All right, that genus is big in Namibia and South Africa. Some of them get tree size, but they all tend to get kind of, you know, juicy succulent leaves and these big storage tubers in the ground like you can see right there. Did you know members of the grape family could do that? If you had the opportunity to come to gardens like this, you could figure that out. Vitaceae, the grape family, Parthenocissus, Cissus, etc. Those are members of the grape family that exists in North America. And Cyphostemma, or Cyphostemma, is a genus in the grape family that exists in the African continent. Kumara plicatilis, formerly in the genus Aloe. It's in the same family as Aloe. It's Photolaceae, but it's a fucking notable tree. Those stems root pretty easily. But again, this is a Mediterranean climate, much like the climate of the Bay Area, one of 5 Mediterranean climates in the world. That's why this stuff does so well. As well as this aloes. Plenty of tall caulescent aloe species as well. Let's see what else we got. South Africa's got a ton of members of the iris family. Most diversity of anywhere. All right, Iridaceae, the iris family. You can see they're all dormant right now because they're dormant. They got summer dormancy. They come up in winter, which is about the time that South Africa starts getting rainfall. It's a winter rain climate, just like California. So you imagine coming here, you see this, you don't know what's going on, you say, why is it so barren? And then you learn later on it's because this is mimicking a Mediterranean climate. We're coming out of summer right now, so everything's dormant. All those cool geophytes are all dormant. All right, this is a drought-adapted climate, and they're just waiting for a rain. This thing will be lit up. High point when this is lit up is during the winter months, all right? During the shorter days, which is when South Africa gets, the western Cape of South Africa gets the majority of its rainfall because it's a Mediterranean climate. Look at those aloes, though. Look at that, flushing those stress pigments, mimicking agaves. They got teeth on them, too. The genus aloe is huge in South Africa. Tons of diversity. You can see many different variations on a theme, just like, you know, the family Isoaceae that you see right there. And then we got to put this cage in there so people don't gank stuff. But you could see right there a nice little habitat recreation of some of the Haworthias from South Africa. Looks like there might be some insect damage there. It looks like there's been a little bit of insect damage. Also here we got another habitat recreation of those quartz fields near the Namibian border in South Africa, over there in the western and northern Cape, and many of the plants that grow in there. So again, we're not planting for aesthetic or for color or any of that corny shit. We're planting to recreate ecosystems and show you what the plant community, the living skin in another part of the world might look like. Specifically showcasing the families that one might see dominating a certain part of the globe. See Isoaceae, that right up there in the upper left, that's the family. You got the genus and the species right there. The red dot implies that it's super rare, and that little bit of text in the upper left hand corner is the family, right? See it enough times, you start to put together the similarities that exist, the synapomorphies, the traits that are a result of shared ancestry that exist within a family, genus, etc. So that was South Africa. We just saw right here, we got the fog deserts of Chile, the Atacama Desert, specifically the genus Copiapoa, like you see right there. Copiapoa cinerea variety alba, Copiapoa humilis, and Copiapoa cinerea, as well as Copiapoa cranesiana. A nice little photograph showing what the habitat might look like. Generally cool deserts, not hot deserts, just super dry. As it goes with the genus Ariocarpus in northern Mexico and those limestone deserts. Limestone and shale, calcareous shale deserts have created the form of this genus, right? Consisting of about 8 or 10 species. How many do they got here? They got like 3 or 4 agavoides, Cochubionis, Physaratus, and Retusis. But again, that Physaratus looks a little rough. Looks like they might need the use of some systemics, some of those neonicotinoids. You ever been banned from a docent-led tour? Thrown off a docent-led tour at UC Berkeley Botanic Gardens? But look at this. You got some of the chilanthoid ferns, the drought-adapted ferns, subfamily chilanthoideae of the xeric fern family, Pteridaceae. Well, the fern family with revolute margins, okay, not necessarily always xeric. But anyway, you get this whole strip right here is composed of chilanthoid ferns, right? And it shows not only what family they're in, but also where they were originally collected. This is a research garden, science and research, pretty fucking amazing. Miriathersauria from the Nuevo León state. Got, this is a Dickia, yeah, it's South American mean bromeliad. Yeah, tons of seed in there, tons of, there's this Peleus species. What is this? Mucronata from Monterey County. Tons of other plants from those same climates and plant communities, like this Echeveria. You got this Astrolepis as well, too. Same subfamily, Chilanthoideae, as those other ferns. There's the sporophyll, and there are the spores, little black spores that'll come out of there. But this is the way to do it. Not arranging things by color or what's pretty, but by science and ecology. I mean, this to me is way more beautiful. All that shit that's arranged 50 of the same plants in a line, evenly spaced, that's not pretty to me. That looks tacky and gaudy. It looks like products on a shelf. This is the real shit. This is what's good. Look at all this stuff. You have to travel to habitat to see most of these things, and none of them are available in cultivation. Phyllogia paradoxa, which we get in West Texas. Look at those fucking Myriopteris. So much diversity. Echeveria ringonii, I got an agave, Dudleya. Tons of good stuff. So now we got the deserts. We got primarily South America, and a little bit of North American deserts. South American deserts are a lot cooler than North American deserts, right? A little bit drier, but they don't get as hot as places like northern Mexico. So we're limited in what we can grow because the Bay Area doesn't get too hot. But Trichocereus terscheckia, that giant bastard right there, all right, that's a South American plant. It can tolerate our somewhat wet and cool winters. It doesn't freeze here, rarely does, but it gets wet and cool. So things like saguaros don't like that, those damp conditions. We got Rus muelleri right here, super rare member of the sumac genus, which I've seen growing on gypsum in Nuevo Leon. We got a whole host of different agave species. Everything's very well tagged, which is also very important. And a lot of botanic gardens that focus primarily on aesthetic, on things being pretty, whatever the hell that means, tend to be pretty lax. They tend to drop the ball when it comes to making sure everything's adequately tagged. When you don't have things tagged, you can't learn that much. Okay, you can't learn about a plant. The best way to learn about a plant is seeing it right in front of your face, being able to touch it, etc. Oh, we got a dahlia versicolor from Arizona. Got a Caliandra areophila as well from Graham County, Arizona. Who's this? Leucophyllum species. We got another agave. We got a hummingbird-pollinated agave polyanthiflora right here. Look at this. This is from Sonora. I've seen this thing bloom in pink tube-shaped flowers when it's going off. Those carpels are full of little black seeds. See, where else are you going to come in North America and learn about the genus Cleistocactus? They got like 15 different species of Cleistocactus here. They're all hummingbird pollinated, as you could tell by that little dog-dick looking flower, that little pink tube flower. Secretes a lot of nectar. Why would a cactus adapt to hummingbird pollination? Because it grows in the high Andes where hummingbirds are more active, and because there's a lot of hummingbird diversity in South America. It looks like they might have a little bit of spider mites on there. There's the Trichocereus terscheckia. It was planted in 1956. They got a flower on there still. Old flower bud. Looks like there's a fruit maturing. Got a massive ephedra, which is related to Welwitschia. Produces the compound ephedrine, which is a stimulant. What was the name of that trucker speed that they used to put ephedra in? I forget. Maybe it was pseudoephedra. I don't know. Either way, more chylanthoid ferns, and of course there's a ton of bromeliad diversity, xeric bromeliad diversity, that is dryland bromeliad diversity in South America, right? And this is the genus Deuteroconia. Do we got some flowers going off still? Oh yes, we do. Somewhat closely, actually I think the sister genus to this family is the cattail family, Typhaceae. Crazy to think, but they're both in Poales, the order of grasses. Doing a monocot thing, but this is a massive. I have no idea how old this is. You'd have to look at the tag. Look at this beautiful mound. What is this? 1953. This Deuteroconia was collected and planted. Deuteroconia brevifolia from Argentina. Oreocereus celsianus. It's seen that in habitat too. Also going for hummer pollination, but those flowers aren't open yet. Look at all the hairs and the trichomes, though. All right. Just basically dead cells, dead hair cells, protecting against UV, and also providing a little bit of protection against frost, because we are growing in the high Andes. It's where this plant, this genus, is native to. You get high elevation but low latitude. So summer every day, winter every night. More cleistodiversity. Look, you come here, you learn about places that are, regions of the world that are 6,000 miles away, and entire evolutionary groups of plants. Right? I believe all the Cleistocactus evolved with hummer pollination. Trichocereus chiloensis. I think they maybe changed the genus to Leucostele now, but it grows just outside of Santiago, Chile, in the foothills of the Andes. And I may or may not have tried to infect it with the cactus parasite Tristrix, which I recently had brought back from Chile upon a trip there, but I don't think the seed took. But if it did, it would only infect that genus, none of the North American ones, I think. But it'd be a nice illegal accession. They'd be the only botanic garden in North America to have the hummingbird-pollinated cactus parasite Tristrix. Could you find a tag, Damon? Could you find a tag? It's got consumed by the colony. You got a nice, look at the fucking glaucous texture of that, though. That's a nice waxy layer. So this is Baja right here. You can see we got a Tecate cypress right there, and all the yuccas and agaves, all the plants you'd find in Baja. This is a novel. I wish more botanic gardens did this. You just don't see it that much. Got a salvia. They got a Dudleya collection too. Look at those Dudleyas, right? It's a lot of rare Dudleyas in Baja, and they're again, just coming out of summer dormancy. Dudleyias get winter rain. Their sister genus Echeveria gets summer rain. So Dudley is a genus that's mostly adapted to Mediterranean climates. There we go. Acanthogylia gloriosa. Somewhat basal member of the phlox family. Spiny as shit because it evolved with a lot of selection pressure from herbivores in a desert. Grows in northern Baja California. And there's those flowers. But it's a member of the phlox. But it's taken spininess and defense, armed defense, to an extreme. And when was this thing accessioned? 85. Presumed grown from seed. Polemoniaceae, the phlox family. Here we go. Here's a tree that was native to this hillside before the Botanic Garden was built. This is Aesculus californica. It's got that little, you got a fruit right there. It looks like a baseball-sized fruit. It's drought deciduous, so these things lose their leaves in like July or August. But remember, again, California doesn't get summer rain, all right? So the hottest season is also the driest, all right? But it's a buckeye. California buckeye is the common name. It's in the maple family, just like all the other buckeyes, Sapindaceae. So this thing should be leafing out in a month or two once they get some rain. It's also one of the easiest native plants to plant in a yard. You literally can just collect those seeds. The fruit it's just a single-seeded fruit. Looks like a baseball. Throw it in the ground somewhere and it'll germinate. And they actually grow pretty fast once they get going. Temperate forests of Asia. This is what we're walking into right now. And this plant up here, this massive tree, these were some of the first of their species to have ever arrived in North America quite recently after the species was discovered. First it was described by science. This is Metasequoia glyptostroboides. These plants were planted in the late 40s, and you can see they're doing very well for themselves. This is a deciduous redwood that will grow in places like Chicago, St. Louis, New York City, etc. The only limiting factor for them is water. Not cold, but water. They're deciduous, so they drop their needles, but they can take those cold-ass temperatures. They look really beautiful once they fully, lose their leaves. It's got to get a little bit colder, though. In Bay Area, it can be chilly, but the autumn here is not that cold. But look at that buttressing on the trunk. It's only one remaining population. It's like 5,000 trees, I think, in a valley in China. You can see, look at the cones right there. All right, so there's far more individuals of this species in cultivation than there are left in the wild. They're a beautiful tree. They grow in floodplains. They grow fast as hell, too. I planted like a pencil diameter tree in my Maz yard in Chicago in 2008. It's about 45 feet tall now. Going on the theme of rare Asian conifers, we got Glyptostrobus pensilius right there, which is critically endangered in habitat. Grows in Vietnam and southeastern China. Really cool tree. UC Davis has quite a few, but they generally need to be in water. This may not be wet enough for it. And then over here we got Taiwania cryptomerioides, which is another very rare species related to redwoods. That was probably, the whole lineage was very dominant during the Jurassic period when the dinosaurs were around, but it's only a dozen or so species in that lineage left today. And this fucking thing. This is one of the weirdest plants still alive. Cyadopodes verticillata. I saw one, the conservatory in Chicago used to have one outside. I think it croaked or they moved it or something. Used to be in the family Taxodiaceae. The family Taxodiaceae doesn't exist anymore. It turns out Cyadopodes is in its own long, lonely branch. Right? So there is not much alive today that is related to this. In fact, there's nothing alive today that's closely related to it. The leaves looks like a pine, but the leaves feel like plastic. You can see they're coming out of these whorls at the nodes on the stems. I mean, this is a great way to kind of help imagine what plant life may have looked like during the Jurassic period. You see right there, again, tends to need a lot of moisture. Probably doesn't like the dry summers here, but this bed gets irrigated. And God only knows what mycorrhizae it's associating with in the soil. Probably a ton of cool glomeromycetes, etc. Right there's a good illustration of the growth rate of giant sequoia. When was this planted? 1945. So that's 80 years of growth. It's like the size of a rather luxurious outdoor shitter. Yeah, beautiful fucking tree. Sierra redwood. Not the coast redwood, the Sierra redwood. Massive bastard. They got a bunch of nice rhodies too. Nice rhododendrons and stuff. Remember, this is what you would expect to see in an Asian cool temperate forest, coniferous forest. All right, the dominant trees here are the conifers, and then there's an understory of some cool angiosperms. Banned from the docent lead tour, thrown out of the docent lead tour. Don't let it happen to you. See, now we've reached eastern North America. So, you know, for people that are from the East Coast, they miss those eastern forests and they end up somewhere in Northern California, the Bay Area. They can get a little flavor of it just by coming here. Because I shit you not, when you get deep down in the depths of it, it actually feels like you're in. Look at that bald cypress changing color. Lots of deciduous trees changing color with the shorter day length. Showing those carotenoid pigments as the chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B degrade and get reconsumed by the plant and you know, stored in nutrient form in the roots, etc. Those carotenoids are all that's left. They're there the whole time throughout the summer, but they're hidden by chlorophyll. As the chlorophyll degrades, chlorophyll tends to not be that stable. All right, the plant has to continuously make more of it. So the chlorophyll degrades and the carotenoids show. Your true colors show. The carotenoids are doing light absorption in the green part of the spectrum. The chlorophyll is doing light absorption in the red and blue part of the spectrum. So now, leaving eastern North America, now we're going into Mexico. We're seeing plants that you might see in some of the cloud forests of Mexico, like Gunnera and Cygnus. Actually, Mexico and Central America. Gunnera is a weird genus that's all over the world, another long, lonely branch on the angiosperm phylogenetic tree, known for associating with nitrogen-fixing bacteria in the genus Nostoc, and also for those big peltate-ass leaves. Oh, I feel like I'm back in El Cielo already. You know, but it's a lot less prone to cartel violence here than in Tamaulipas. Here we got Podocarpus matudi, which you can see in cloud forests throughout Mexico, like El Cielo Biosphere Reserve, or you could see it. You know, this population, this individual is from a population in Jalisco, as you can see. Very good information too, very good data. The red dot again indicates that it's a rare plant, that it's endangered. This thing is extinct in the wild, Depius splendens, and so it's marked with a red, little red dot. Coffee family Rubiaceae. This was accessioned in 1992, and it's from Chiapas. The habitat where this species once grew has since been destroyed, but it's actually common in cultivation throughout the Bay Area. It needs those cool, moist conditions. So if you grow that in your yard, you got to irrigate. Mexico has a shit ton of oak and magnolia diversity, and you could see some of them here. This is all Mexico. Up there we got Caranthodendron pentadactylon, the monkey hand tree, which is in the cotton family Malvaceae and grows at 9,000 foot elevation in the cloud forests of Oaxaca, and also in the UC Botanic Garden. They're self-fertile too, like most members of the cotton family Malvaceae. So if you have one tree, you can get good seed, but you got to do a hot water treatment on the seed to germinate it. I've done it many times and given quite a few of the plants away to friends in Oakland. I planted one of them on Mandela and 18th Street. Another Caranthodendron. Let's see. Too bad it's not flowering right now. The flowers are big and red. Did a video on it once. They're pollinated by birds. The scrub jays outside my window used to love getting the nectar out of those big red flowers. Frangula mucronata from Chiapas, member of the buckthorn family, but evolving into conditions that exist in Chiapas, in a Chiapas forest. Anthurium Rysadowski, named after Jerry Rysadowski, who just passed away, R.I.P. in the last year or two, a well-known Mexican botanist. This is from Chiapas, probably endangered in the wild, or, you know, common, but restricted to the small area that it grows. But it's a, you know, native Mexican aroid. Magnolia tamaulipiana. Love to see the forest what these came out of. God, can you imagine the diversity? When was this accessioned? 91. Magnoliaceae. From Tamaulipas State, Mexico. Oh, this is a nice one. I used to love seeing this. Talantophora grandifolia. I think it's related to Senecio. It's in the sunflower family Asteraceae. You can see how big this gets. Tons of giant comps. Tons of giant composites, members of the sunflower family. Look at those leaves. Where's the flowers? Those are the flowers from the Smolanthus to my right, not from Talantophora. Talantophora, I think, has more glabrous flowers. It is a Senecio. Here's the Smolanthus flowers. Look at these beautiful striate stems. There grew quite a few individuals of this from seed. Probably very important ethnobotanically among native people as well. What was this again? Smolanthus maculatus. It's got to be chopped down every year because it's a herbaceous perennial. But they'll hack these, and then you get 20 feet of growth in this thing in a season. And then right here, we got a very special species of agave, very special plant, agave atrovirens. And that is how big they get. They get a little bit bigger than this. This is an agave that doesn't really like the sun too much because it's adapted to growing in the understory of cloud forests in Oaxaca at elevations of about 8 or 9,000 feet. I've seen many of them. It's fucking wonderful habitats. Tons of cool mushroom diversity, but the winters, like many of the places in Mexico, the winters are very dry. Very dry, no rain. The rainy season is August to October. And these things just get huge. And the trees will be covered in epiphytic orchids and bromeliads, and there's probably numerous undescribed fungal species in the soil. Lots of mycorrhizae, both endo and ecto, because there's pines and oaks everywhere. Agave atrovirens is a fucking beast. Probably the largest agave species that exists, but I've seen large agave salmiana in places like Querétaro and Guanajuato as well. But I mean, really, some of these get upwards of almost, 14 feet across. Agave atrovirens, everybody. Adapted to the shady, cool, moist understories of cloud forests in Oaxaca. This big leaf bastard right here, this is one of my favorite plants. This is a very aggressive native quote-unquote weed in Mexico known by the name of Wigandia urens, at least if you're a botanist. It's in the borage family, Boraginaceae, excuse me. You can see it's got tons of little hairs, both on the upper and lower leaf surfaces, and there is the panicle, which is covered in purple flowers that are about yay big when it's going off. You'll see this thing coming out of abandoned buildings, growing out of freeway overpasses, viaducts, cracks in the sidewalk. I've seen it. I just saw it in June growing out of a fucking crack in downtown Mexico City. The seeds get around, so it's got adequate dispersal mechanisms, and it produces tons of seeds as well. Really cool plant, really special. Down here we got tagetes, one of the tagetes species. There's like 10. They're in the marigold tribe, so they've got very fragrant leaves. The leaves here smell incredible. Little discoid, well, no, not discoid. They got ligules, so they got rays. Little yellow flowers, but you can see those orange glands on the side of the involucre right there. They'd give away for the genus Tagetes, or at least the member of the marigold tribe, Tagete. Mexico's got a ton of pine and oak diversity, and of course, since we're still in the Mexico section of the garden, that's what you're seeing here. Tons of pine and oak diversity. Ooh, nice Thalictrum. What species is that? It's a wind-pollinated member of Ranunculaceae. I got the bamboo cycad, Ceratozamia hilde, from San Luis Potosi. Probably likes it very wet and critically endangered in the wild, as you can tell from that red dot. But it's also got that nitrogen-fixing cyanobacteria in the coralloid roots. They're coralloid, meaning they look like corals, because they got to build those little, low oxygen environments so that the bacteria can, that nitrogenase enzyme that the bacteria produces can get to work breaking down atmospheric nitrogen to ammonium and nitrates, trites, etc. And we got a flower in it, Tagetes, right? Each flower produces, I don't know, 2 dozen seeds. This plant does really well in the bay. Quercus rhizophylla, one of many, many oaks in Mexico. There's still new species being described. They just described the new species of shin oak. A colony-forming oak that doesn't get taller than 18 inches. I forget the name of it. I think it was in Jalisco. Anyway, this is Quercus rhizophylla. Coriaceous leaves, glabrous upper surfaces, and it's quite big. Probably providing habitat for numerous ectomycorrhizal fungal species. Look at an informational kiosk, right? Who thought you'd come to a botanic garden to read? But that's actually one of the best things about this garden. You learn so much just by, again, it's like a living museum. This is what botanic gardens should be about. Forget all that Martha Stewart shit about color and plant thing. I keep saying this, but I really want to ram it home. That's why I'm doing this videos, because I want people to look at this stuff in a different way and realize how they can design botanic gardens for educational opportunities, not just because it looks pretty when you take a fucking wedding photo there or some corny shit, some corny corporate event, etc. Yeah, there's so many cool salvia species in the Mexican highlands. It blows my fucking mind. It's a salvia pubarula. Again, hummingbird pollination is big at those higher elevations and cooler climates. It's low latitude, but it's high elevation, so you get the climate of San Francisco. Not too hot, not too cold. That's what a cloud forest is. My second favorite biome after deserts. Look at it. There's like, fuck, the salvia diversity in the Mexican highlands is fucking mind-blowing. So now we're leaving the cloud forests and going to more of the xeric habitats, and you can tell that by some of the plants we're seeing, right? Shorter pines, shorter oaks, and a lot of those cool monocots and asparagaceae like the nolinas and the yuccas, Dasylirion, etc. This is Nolina nelsonii. I actually think I got a plant of this that I planted in West Texas. This is Yucca faxoniana, West Texas native, too. Also grows down in Tamaulipas. Tamaulipas. Just love mispronouncing shit intentionally. Anyway, you can see just, you know, convergent evolution, converging on the same theme, right? You grow in a hot, dry place, you get spiny daggers to deflect herbivores, and you get succulent storage. There's Pinus maximartinesii. This thing was described after weird-looking cones were found in a pulga, you know, in a market where is it, Jalisco, or I forget where exactly. Oh, it was Zacatecas. Yeah, it's in Zacatecas. But it was a species that wasn't even known to science until the cone was found. And then a botanist that was just happened to be in the market asked whoever collected it, can you take me to these trees? And boom, they found a species that prior to that had been unknown to science, but probably known to the people there for thousands of years. Pinus maximartinesii, a beautiful white pine. A lot of stevias in Mexico too. Stevia rebaudiana is the one used in artificial sweeteners, but the genus has upwards of, I think, a couple hundred species in it. And this right here is Stevia salicifolia, which I actually just saw in situ down there in Guanajuato with my friend Gabrielle. Agave bracteosa, which only grows in rock walls and habitat out of limestone rock walls, but as you can see, it does fine in the ground as well. Also does fine in native plant gardens in West Texas. More Nolina species, not sure which one that is, but it's evidently it's from San Luis Potosi. But apparently whoever collected it wasn't able to identify it. Another cool oak right there. There we go. Now we're moving into Chile, and you can see what is that, Araucaria angustifolia, it looks like. Well, Chile in South America, Chile and Argentina. Got an Escalonia species up here with super waxy, fragrant leaves. No doubt that's probably medicinal, ethnobotanically speaking. Cordidaria, pampas grass, Vichelia caven, the Chilean mesquites. There's the little legume fruits. God, it smells good here. Holy hell. Parajubea toralii, one of quite a few higher elevation palms in South America. You know, they don't like it too hot and tend to like a lot of moisture as well. Right there you got Chilean wine palm. Jubea chilensis, super ecologically important tree and ethnobotanically important tree as well. Remember, palms got no secondary growth, so they stay the same width, generally speaking, and only grow up. Shoots grow up, roots grow down. They don't get bigger. They don't got a vascular cambium. Let's look at this. Puya berterodiana, also known as Puya alpestris. This is all the same individual. It's just forming offsets. Flowers get about, the inflorescence gets about 6 or 7 feet tall, covered in iridescent blue flowers. They're very mean and hard to remove. I grew a shit ton of these from seed, planted 1 or 2 illegally on Mandela Parkway, and when the real estate lady went to go remove the garden, she couldn't remove this. Thank God. And always a stunner, Coletia paradoxa, right? One of the South American members of the buckthorn family, Rhamnaceae. A lot of good shit in the buckthorn family, Rhamnaceae, in South America. This is colloquially known as the anchor plant. You can see why. It's got those flattened stems that kind of look like anchors. It's the very mean, spiny plant that's saying, don't fuck with me. It's also from a dry environment, as you can tell, since it doesn't have any leaves. So photosynthesis is done strictly in its stems, and it's got those little white flowers, axillary flowers. Great plant, you know, for the edge of a yard. Another member of the buckthorn family over here. This is another Coletia. You can see it's doing a similar thing. Those are just stems. They're not leaves. They're just spiny, stiff, leathery stems. Coletia ulacina. Let's see if we can find a flower right there. Also, one of many plants adapting to hummingbird pollination, as you can see from those long red tube flowers. I suppose butterflies probably hit it too, but probably its primary pollinator is hummers. You can get those little hairs along the stem too. Cryptocarya alba, avocado family, Lauraceae, and there's a little fruit right there. Very, very ecologically important tree in Chile. Another variation on the theme, Caledius spinosa, right here. Another mean buckthorn adapted to arid climates and grazing pressure by herbivores. Still got those tiny white flowers though. Look at that. And when you go south in Chile, it turns from desert to more of a temperate rainforest. And you go far enough south, and you start encountering plants like this, these Araucaria americana, right? 2 species in the genus native to South America. That's Araucana, and over there you got Araucaria angustifolia, which you tend to get in the Atlantic forests of Brazil, on the other side of the South American continent. Both are members of a very ancient lineage of conifer that evolved sometime in the Triassic. And over here we got the bane of my existence, the rose garden. The dreaded rose garden, No shame to anybody who enjoys it. It's just a personal thing, to each their own. I like wild roses. I like species. I don't like these poodles that have been so hybridized and overbred in greenhouses. It does smell nice, but, that's not the lens I want to view plant life through. Look at that. And in South America, there's a ton of nightshade diversity, and that's what this is. This is a species of Solanum. Same genus as tomato. You got those poricidal anthers, little anthers with the holes on the end of them for buzz pollination. Very glandular. You got all those glandular trichomes, and then you got those fruits right there. Not mature yet, but I'd assume they're probably edible because, the fruit down there either matures with mammals or birds, and that doesn't look like something a bird would eat, so it's probably a mammal, and we just cut one open, and it did smell kind of good. Yeah, there you go. See, we just cut that open. Smells very sweet. Not mature yet. Just looks like a tomato. Same fruit structure, same seed structure, and the same genus as tomatoes, but there's 900 species in that genus, I think. Some are toxic, some are edible. This one's probably edible. Again, when you get poisonous fruits, no plant wants to poison its seed dispersers, okay? And that's not what plants that produce poisonous berries are doing. It's just you're not the intended seed disperser. Mammals are not the intended seed disperser. Birds are. Guess what? Birds have very different metabolisms than mammals, and a lot of chemicals that affect us don't affect them. But this definitely looks like it's probably a mammal-pollinated, or a mammal-dispersed fruit. Mammal-dispersed fruit in the genus Solanum. Oh, Damon just found the tag over there. So the the vine starts over there and ends over here. Solanum ocranthum, wild relative of tomato, but probably in the same section of the genus as true tomatoes. And supposedly it can be used for it's got genes that can be used for increased pest resistance when hybridized with wild tomatoes. Who knows? I don't know. It definitely smells edible. Smells kind of sweet. But again, fruit's just not mature. Probably turns red or orange when it is mature. There you go. Some of the native South American bamboos. I saw some of these when I was in Brazil. The genus Chilean, and that's Chilean montana. It's from Argentina. A lot of species in that genus. And again, South American clade of Bambusoideae, the bamboo subfamily of the grass family Poaceae. This is interesting from a biogeographical perspective. Everybody in North America who knows trees at all knows alders. There's a Peruvian variation on the theme, Ulmus acuminata. Yeah, that's cool. They got nitrogen-fixing bacteria in their roots, and they form new root nodules as well. Okay, also interesting from a biogeographical perspective, como se dice nice, is this. This is a member of the Protea family Proteaceae, okay, which you get South Africa, Australia, and parts of South America, right? There's not that much diversity in the family in South America, but there's a ton in Australia and South Africa. And why do they occur in those 3 places? Because those 3 continents used to be together, right? They used to be close to Antarctica. And surely before Antarctica froze over, there were a ton of members of this family growing there as well. This is Lomatia hirsuta from Concepcion, Chile. And, macadamia nuts in Proteaceae as well. You got those coriaceous leaves and a distinct venation to them. All right, it's almost it almost feels like cardboard. And then of course you can see the flowers. It's 4 fused tepals. All right, not petals, not sepals, tepals, because it's only one series. They open up. They got a pollen presenter, etc. Those are synapomorphies of the reproductive structures of Proteaceae, which don't occur in North America or the northern hemisphere even. I can't tell you how much I love the smell of this plant. The glandular exudate you find on those waxy leaves. All right, Escallonia ilanita, another plant family we don't get in the northern hemisphere, but it's quite common in the southern hemisphere. Probably another biogeographical relic of Gondwanan. This is Escallonia illonita from southern Chile, central and southern Chile. And here's the leaves. And they smell fucking divine. Super sticky and waxy, pleasant smell. The flowers look cool too, but it's not flowering right now. And it's forming a nice hedge right here, kind of like the scandent multi-branched shrub. God, it smells good though. You could smell that wax just walking by it. Oh, this is a nice one. Variations on a redwood. A southern hemisphere relative of redwoods. This is the Urushiol tree, which grows in the temperate rainforest that receive upwards of 9 feet of rain a year of southern Chile. Fitzroya cupressoides. Grew a shit ton of these from seed around 2010, 2011, and we planted them in San Francisco Botanic Garden and Arboretum with permission. It was with permission. It wasn't an illegal accession like I tried doing with the Tristrix. But either way, it's a great fucking tree. They can live 3,000 years, get 10-foot diameter breast height, and so few people know they even exist. And here we go, soapbark tree, Quillaja saponaria. Quillajaceae is the family. Grows. It's in the order Fabales, same order as peas. Big, important keystone plant in the forests of central and southern Chile. Then we go over to Ecuador. We're going to check out some of those cloud forest blueberries like Macleania benthamiana. There's the flower right there. Kind of a elongated urn shape to those flowers, but and no doubt probably hummingbird-pollinated. Look at that. Look, you could get your dog into the Botanic Garden. Look at that. Look, the little buddy just hides out in the backpack. Look at that. Fuck, I love terriers. And then stepping over to the other side of the world in Portugal, we're looking at a member of the rock rose family, Cistus ladanifer. All right, sticky as hell. Incredibly sticky. Can you see the glandular exited? And it's known as the gum tree. Look, it's coming off of my fingers. It's all shiny. Look at that. You got those adaxial leaf surfaces that are all white. And a very waxy. That'll prevent predation, I suppose. But Portugal's got a Mediterranean climate too. So remember, sticky plants tend to do better in drier climates, more arid climates. There's the ovary up there. Here's the fruit, dried the hyson capsule. Order is Malvalis, cotton order. Those tiny seeds. I bet this thing's fire adapted too. Right? I mean, it is from a Mediterranean climate, When you get the longest, hottest season being the driest, you end up getting fire being a part of the ecology there, as happens in many places with Mediterranean climates especially. Look at that. We got Salvia cinnabarino. Look at that. Hummingbird-pollinated from Brazil. I think it's kind of rare in habitat, but it's common in cultivation up here in the Bay. And then down here we got one of my favorite plants, the weird-ass, long, lonely lineage of Gunnera. This is Gunnera tinctoria from Chile. It's got that nitrogen-fixing cyanobacteria in those stems. Looks like rhubarb, no relation. In fact, it's not really closely related to any other plant species except the equally weird plant Myrothamnus, which is a resurrection plant from Namibia. It can come back to life after being dry. But anyway, Gunnera, there's big ones, there's small ones. Gunnera insignis is a big-ass one. I've seen Gunnera monoica in New Zealand, which is about the size of a quarter and grows on the sides of cliffs near volcanoes. But look at those spines. That's where you got the cyanobacteria. They're harboring cyanobacteria in those spines. And then the inflorescence pops out of there. It looks like a cone. The Gunnera, some are dioecious, some are bisexual. But you got easily 10,000 flowers on that little inflorescence. I don't think they're ready yet. Look at the way the leaves look when they come out. What a fucking beast. Look at that. That leaf is 6 feet across. This plant's very invasive in similar climates where it's not native. It's native to southern Chile. You get those wet, temperate rainforest-like climates. I believe it's pretty invasive in the UK. But it's a fucking nice plant regardless, though. Look at that. That's a fucking dope. Look at that. Coriaceous, leathery leaves. Look at the venation. Gaze into my Gunnera. This would be a great spot to microdose LSD and just hang out with Gunnera for an hour or something. Maybe 40 minutes. Not saying I've done that before, but it would be a nice spot to hypothetically do such a thing. And then in New Zealand, we got Cahecatea, Dacrycarpus dacrydioides, relative of an ancient conifer family, which you don't get much except for a few places in the northern hemisphere, like that Podocarpus matude in Mexico. But generally, this family, Podocarpaceae, is southern hemisphere. Again, there's Dacrycarpus dacrydioides. Most of the trees in this conifer family have evolved with bird dispersal. And the seeds are up there. It's technically a cone. This is a gymnosperm. Those are naked seeds. They got a little bait berry to lure the birds in, and then on top of the bait berry, they've got the actual seed. So bird dispersal. No native mammals in New Zealand except for bats. So birds are the primary dispersers there. You got a cordyline, you know, the New Zealand equivalent of a yucca, tons of tree ferns, cyathea, Dixonia, a bunch of nice stuff down there. So also, if we're going to be talking about New Zealand, I got to show you the rimu. Right, it's such an important plant. Go past all these tree ferns. You got a nice bench over here. Good job on a bench, by the way. Nice spot to lurk. Here's a rimu, Dacrydium capresinum. Beautiful weeping form, live forever. You know, probably 1,000, 2,000 years. Also bird dispersed and wind pollinated, bird dispersed, but massively important trees. When was this thing planted? 56. They grow slow as shit too. There you go. Yeah, 1956. That was planted, and that, I mean, plant the tree that's almost 70 years old, you'd think would be a lot bigger. These grow so slow. So that means the ones I was seeing in New Zealand that were about, I don't know, 8, 9 feet across must be hundreds, if not thousands of years old. And they look fucking beautiful when you're standing beneath one in a forest that's composed of these and agathis trees, another cool conifer, and tons of other cool temperate rainforest plants in New Zealand. Oh, there we go. And from Tasmania, Dixonia antarctica. Seeing that growing in the understory of giant eucalypt forests. Did you know? I mean, its species name's Antarctica, but obviously this isn't from there. But I'm sure, you know, 50, 60 million years ago, before Antarctica froze over, there was indeed Dixonia species growing on that continent. Oh, this is a beautiful one. Keteleria, the genus Keteleria. You don't get it in North America, but you get it in Asia, China specifically. And there's one of them. Let's look at that. Look at a cone up there. Relative of pine in the pine family, Pinaceae. Love to know the mycorrhizae these things are hosting in habitat. Keteleria eveliniana. You also get Keteleria davidiana. I don't know if they got that one here though. Look at that. There's the cone. Is that the cone from this Ket? Yeah, that looks right. Look, see, they sit upright on the branches. They don't droop like pine cones. And right there, you got an ovaliferous scale. See, two seeds to each bract. Right? It's a naked seed. It's not enclosed. It's a seed scale. Right? So those are closed up, and then they open at maturity once the seed is matured and dump out the wind dispersed seeds. Wait, look at this. They got all cottagecore here and milled their own redwood. There used to be a big ass redwood here. I think it was planted. I don't think it was. I mean, redwoods are native to this canyon, but I don't think in this specific area. Maybe it was. But either way, I don't know if it fell down or what. Oh yeah, a strong storm took it down. It was a beautiful tree, but yeah, they had to take it down. So, you know, I remember that storm. I think I was actually, maybe I was here for that. Or no, I was here before that. And that's what took down the California buckeye that used to be there that had it. It was growing like a bow tie. It had like a hole in the middle of it. Just natural hole. Beautiful tree, but it fell. Sadly, we lost it. Oh, look, they're doing drip irrigation. I just fell and ate shit. No, I didn't take that. No, but look at this. This is a rare one. Look, you got to ask Kim Jong-un for permission to go see this. This is in North Korea. Thuya coriensis. Look at that underside. You know? Oh, God, look at that fucking white wax. It's beautiful. I love it when some conifers do that. Very cold hardy, too. Probably a zone 5. You could probably grow it in Chicago if you got a stable, stable source of seed. Speaking of California buckeye, oh, you know what? Has this got 1 or 2 seeds in there? I forget. I think it's just 1. Yeah, there you go. It's just 1. Just got that 1. See, there's where the funiculus was attached. Yeah, but you put that in the ground, you get a new tree coming up. They're super drought hard. As long as you sow that here in the winter, during the rainy season, it'll get established. That's great. And then over here we got Pereskia aculeata, which is actually a cactus. It's a cactus with leaves. More importantly, it's an ancestral lineage of cactus, one of the cacti, the 5 subfamilies, but this is the subfamily that still has leaves in it. Leuenbergia, Pereskia, etc. They still have leaves. They never lost their leaves, and as such, they're not as drought tolerant. But you can also see they're starting. They're at least evolutionarily, you could see they've still got the spine down there too. I had one of these that grew outside my window in Oakland, covered the whole side of the house, like 40 square foot area, beautiful flowers, and they go off. You could smell them from 20 feet away, and edible fruits too. Pereskia aculeata, a cactus with leaves. And then we didn't even get in to the California native plant garden. Just fucking phenomenal. Look at that epilobium. Ooh. Look at that fuzzy shit. Wind dispersed seeds, hummingbird-pollinated. Tons of diversity here from all the bioregions of California that did an excellent job on it. Again, grouped by geographic region of California that each plant community grows in. They got a lot of rare shit here as well. Anyway, I'm about to get thrown out of here. They're closing the spot down in a little bit, but hopefully you got something out of that. You know, this is what botanic gardens could be when you stop planting purely for someone's whimsical and subjective idea of beauty and start planting for science and ecology and recreating habitat to give the visitor a feeling of what visiting those places, those regions of the world might feel like. You know, all the different plant species that occur there being planted together. All right, and definitely no fucking uniform lines with even spacing. This shit is deranged. They're not products on a shelf. They're living things. That's all I got. Have a great day. Go fuck yourself. Bye.